What's up, everybody? I'm Chris, and this is episode 14 of Patriot Party News. Gamestop shows us that we are all in real trouble. Before we get going, can you guys do me a favor and hit that subscribe button? And then also hit the like button and share this video. Now, if you think it was really boring, feel free not to share. So today we're going to get into a little bit of an intricate topic, the economy, and exactly what precarious situation our economy is in and kind of how the GameStop rebellion has factored into all of this and really showed some flaws. Before we get too deep into it, we're just going to start with what are the things that hold the economy up. So first, we're looking at the supply and demand of the dollar that's available within the economy. We're looking at the perception of people and how they feel about the market. And then there's a few technical factors that play into it. So we're going to get into it piece by piece, and we're really going to address the different issues. So the first thing we're going to talk about is supply and demand. Now, as you guys know, a part of all of this COVID relief has been the printing of trillions of dollars. So this trillions of dollars was used to stabilize our economy. But the problem is now there are trillions of dollars added into the economy, but there's nothing to show for it, right? So you have to have supplies, which is the dollar, and then demand, the product for people to buy. So if they're making all of this, or they're supplying all this money, but then there's no additional product, then we end up with a huge surplus of cash. And this is a big problem. So as we know, if we have all the money in the world but nothing to buy, then the money has no value. So how does the Fed even add money into the economy? Well, one of the ways they do it is they buy assets in the country. Now, before last year, those assets were about $4 trillion, but now they've purchased up and they're over like 6.2 trillion. So this gives you an idea of how much money is being added into the economy and it's affecting the supply. One of the ways that we can lower the supply is to have other countries buy the dollar from us. They do this because they believe that the dollar is safer than their currencies or other currencies from around the world. But why on earth would anybody right now feel like the dollar is a safe option? We have created this massive, unbelievable amount of surplus, but at the same time, we've locked down businesses and said you cannot work. We've forced this additional surplus and stymied the demand or the ability to produce goods to buy. So I don't know about you guys, but I've had many things where I've tried to purchase it and it's just absolutely not available. Stuff like that is happening on massive scale, and you don't hear about it every day on the news, but it is happening big time. So the next factor is market sentiment and, how we personally feel about it. The way we feel about the market has a huge impact on it, right? Individually, one person is not powerful, right? You can make choices however you want. You can spend money, you can save money, you can waste money, you can get heavily in debt, and that's fine. But once everybody starts to do that, everybody loses faith in the system, then we have a huge problem in our hand. But let's think about what we've seen so far in 2020 and 2021. In 2020, we learned that our vote doesn't matter. We learned that the system can be cheated, and that's one institution that we've lost faith in. We've learned that the courts won't have your back. They won't even do any research and try to figure out if the vote was cheated. We learned that the media will lie to you about it and tell you that everything was fine, there was no corruption, there was no cheating involved. We learned that social media will block you if you're not telling their truth. We learned that the financial sector is stacked up against us. And this is where GameStop comes in. So what GameStop has showed us is that when people get together and use their power of purchasing as a group, and they have an impact that negatively affects the large hedge funds on Wall Street, that the government will literally step in and slow things down. We learned that the apps that we use to trade on those are so heavily tied to these hedge funds that if they start to lose money, they'll shut the app down. We learned that they have no problem rigging it so that you can only sell a stock and you can't buy one. So basically, we've seen it in real time that the system is not meant for us. That we have been told that the stock market is a good representation of the economy, and then if the stock market goes up, everything is gravy, and that we can use it to get rich, and everything's going to be fine, and our retirement accounts should be trusted and put in there. But then only to come to find out that actually we're just pawns, and that they're using us to transfer money to them. We learned that when we go and we try to take the money back, they shut us down. We learned that the people in Washington will literally manipulate the system to protect their friends on Wall Street. Friends that we know for a fact are complicit with what's happening in China. That we know that the people in China are actually manipulating them to do damage to the United States. And our leaders are supporting them, not us. So let's talk about what happened with Gamestop, because it's actually pretty remarkable. You might not know what it is to short a stock, so let me go into that real quick. These big brokerage firms and hedge funds, they can borrow stock, and they can sell the stock that they borrowed at a certain price, a higher price. Then, when they sell large amounts and the price goes down, they in turn buy that stock and pay it back. And then they give a little bit back on top of that to whoever they borrowed it from. 140% of GameStop stock had been shorted. So that means that there were more shorts in the system than stock actually existed. Well, some people on the internet got frustrated with this. They felt that the GameStop stock was worth more money, so they decided that they were all going to buy it. Not only were they going to buy it, they were going to buy it and hold it. Well, this is causing these hedge funds to lose billions of dollars. Something like 70 billion is the estimate right now, and it could get worse because as that goes up in value, the amount that they owe is increased. Now, some people would say that that's not fair, and it's not. The way our stock market is supposed to work is that you buy stocks based off of what the value of the company and what it's doing. These hedge funds are so big that they manipulate the market by buying and selling in bulk, and then they make tons of money. So when the people tried to do this exact same thing, oh my God, everything had to get shut down. They had to stop the sale. We have to monitor the market very closely. And if you think that the White House isn't involved in this, you're absolutely incorrect. The press secretary for Joe Biden, her brother is tied to these hedge funds. They're all tied together. That is why the system is broken, and that is why you and me are having such a hard time right now. That's why they don't care, because they are going to continue to get rich, and we are going to continue to suffer. So in real time, we actually watched yesterday and the day before the system being rigged against us. I meant to do a video yesterday, but I was so angry watching this. You know, I've always believed in the market. I've always believed that the market was right and that if you worked hard, that you would get ahead. I had no idea how easy it was for them to cheat us, to cheat everyone. Well, the great thing is now that there are people that actually see this, there are people on the left and on the right who are coming together and saying this system is absolutely unacceptable. But anyway, I actually withdrew all of my money from Robinhood. I will never use their service again. I'm currently looking for another one. If you have any recommendations, leave them in the comments. So we learned that our market and financial institutions are broken. And we've also learned that our federal agencies are broken. We learned that the FBI has no problem plotting against a political campaign and falsifying records that will allow them to pursue warrants and even arrest people. If we can't trust our agencies, then how can we have trust in the systems that run those, or the agencies that run the system? The SEC, for example. How do we trust that they're monitoring the Fed when we've learned that they're corrupt? So if one is corrupt, what's to stop the other ones? We also learned that the government has no problem stripping people of their liberties. But that's not the scary part. Governments will always try to take power. That is what governments do. It is the people that have to tell the governments no. But that's not what our people are doing. A large chunk of our people support the stripping of these liberties. They support it. They actively engage in doing it. They rat out their neighbors because they're terrified of a virus. They rat out their neighbors. They tell on their friends. Children are telling on their parents. So if the government wants to strip us of our liberties and our kids are willing to help them do it, we are in a lot of trouble. So we learned that. So how does all of this make you feel about the market? About our economy? About the dollar? Are you having faith in the system? Do you think now is a good time to start a business? Maybe make some investments that you had thought about doing and were kind of holding off? You think now's the time to do it? Well, if you answered no, you're not the only ones. And that insecurity, that right there, might just be the death nail in the economy. That belief that everything is going to go down might actually cause it all to go down. The truth is that people's faith in the economy is the only reason that the economy is even functional. There's no magic backing it. There's no answer. There's no gold bar sitting in a vault somewhere that says, okay, everything's bad, but we still have this. It's gone. None of that exists. It is 100% up to you and up to me to believe in the economy that holds it together. People argue that Bitcoin isn't real and that, it's just like gambling. Well, I got bad news for you. Our entire economy isn't real. We make physical products and we have them, but we have way more money than we do products. And they're hedging their bet that there will be future production and we can stem the flow and not have hyperinflation. But you cannot do that if everything is shut down. Now, I know that there's a lot of places that are reopening, and that's great. But at the same time, we hear tons of stories about this variant or that variant, and this one is COVID resistant, and that one is not. So what is that supposed to do? Is that supposed to give us faith that everything's going to be okay? Doesn't work on me. Now, there's another argument that the U.S. government is too big to fail, and that because our government is kind of the backbone or our economy is the backbone for the rest of the world, that they'll keep following in our footsteps. And as long as when we print money, everyone else prints money, the economy will be stable and everything will be fine. You might have some inflation, products might be more expensive, but it's not going to cause total collapse. Well, to those people that believe that, I have one word: China. Okay? If China decides that they want to be the superpower, all they have to do is take the correct steps to bolster their economy while ours is floundering. And then we are in real trouble. We're not the reserve currency by default. We could lose that status. So there are technical factors that feed into the economy as well that can have an impact. The dollar value is based on the products that are currently available and what is projected to be available in the future, right? So as long as people keep investing money on production, on things that are going to create new assets, we'll be fine. But here's the problem. Gamestop, the rebellion that just happened, has shown people what they can do with the stock market. So if we start putting trillions of dollars directly into the stock market, and we don't have any assets that are being generated, any new factories or any new software or anything like that that comes out, and everyone's just investing in the stock market, then we are looking at massive, massive inflation. You want a loaf of bread that costs $10,000? Yeah, me neither. I mean, we all know what happens when large amounts of money are added to the stock market. They don't like the term inflation, so they use the term bubble. We've had plenty of bubbles, and they always burst. And when they burst, things are bad. It's crazy. As I'm about to turn 39, I've already seen one economy tank. I thought we were on the right road, and now it's like we're right back where we started. In fact, we're in worse shape now than we were in 2008. The problems that we had back then were because of stupid investing and subprime lending and bad choices. The problems we have now are catastrophic in comparison. People don't understand the ramifications for shutting down the entire economy, but we're about to. So what happens if the dollar collapses or our economy tanks? Well, first, you're going to see things like banking institutions go out of business. Some of us might clap at that because really, those guys are jerks. But then we'll also run into food shortages. There will be power outages. Your water and sewer systems might stop working. Why would anybody go to work and put themselves at risk for nothing? We go to work because it pays us, not because we enjoy it. Now, for a while, you might have people that are willing to keep going in and keep doing what they have to do to keep the system running. But it requires millions of us to keep this planet going. So if they can't pay us and the money has no value, at least for a short time, why would anybody go to work? Now, look, I don't know if any of this is going to happen, right? I've been tracking it. I've been monitoring it. But I'm not a doctor of the economy. I did not go to college. I have an MBA, but I did not go to college specifically about world markets, and I'm not an investment trader. But what I have to say to you is, okay, what if it doesn't happen? But then you did a little bit extra just to make sure you were safe in case it did. So what kind of things can you do to keep yourself safe? First, let me start with, my channel's not big enough to have a sponsor. No one's going to pay me for any of this. This is honestly just what I'm doing, and I'm trying to relate it to you. So first thing you need to do is you need to really sit down and think about it and have a plan. Okay, if things go bad, what are you going to do? Okay, once you think about it and you start to plan it, you're just going to be in better shape, and it's not going to hurt you. Right? Why not get into contact with your family and friends and just come up with an idea of what you would do together if things fell apart, how you would communicate with each other. You have to realize that cell phones might not be available. There's a probability that you're going to not have access to things that you count on. So how are you going to have back channel communications? How are you going to get to each other? How are you going to see each other? Just set all that out. Now, you might feel a little silly while you do it. Believe me, I know. I feel silly. Okay, I have an optimism bias just like you. I want to believe that nothing bad can happen. But we have seen in front of us that bad things can happen. They are literally happening right now. There are troops in Washington, D.C. that they're talking about leaving them there permanently. So we need to scrap this optimism bias, scrap feeling weird about prepping. It's not even prepping, guys. That's not what I'm talking about. It's talking about having a plan. So you need to just get some water. Water is very important. If your plan is to fill up your swimming pool or whatever and have that as your water, then have a plan for cleaning that water and how you're going to make it so you can drink it and use it. Get some food. You know, without power, your freezer and your refrigerators are going to stop working. So have a plan. You need to have weeks worth of food. I personally bought some emergency food. The first batch I ordered took a really, really long time, but this next batch I ordered was much faster. It's just enough for you and every member of your family to eat for 30 days. That gives you a little bit of a buffer, and the stuff that you buy lasts for decades, and it comes in little totes. It's not hard to move around. So just have the food, have the water. What I did is I bought some 5-gallon jugs, and I just fill them up with water once a month. I go and I drain the water that's in there and I fill them back up, and then I buy bottled water, but my kid drinks them all. It's really obnoxious. Yeah, I'm talking to you, dude. And then the last bit of advice is just be vigilant. Okay? It's not time to put our head in the sand. You have to pay attention to what's happening. You have to talk to the people around you, see where their headspace is at. Okay, watch the news. Now, you also have to filter the news and understand that some of what they tell you is going to be bogus. But if you watch it from a bunch of different sources and you pay attention to what's going on around you, and especially if you pay attention to independent media, it seems like you're going to get a lot better information from multiple sources than you will if you just count on one. And it doesn't really matter who the source is. There's so much going on, anyone is capable of missing something. And a lot of sources are going to tell you that it's just bullcrap. So you have to really funnel through it and figure out and find the people that you trust. All right, guys, that's the end of episode 14. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Make some comments in the chat. Share it with your friends and like it. You can help me get the message about what's going on around the world out. And if you'll do me a favor, just visit thepatriotparty.news, and there you'll find my social media accounts and you can click on them. I really look forward to bringing you guys the next video, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday.